the problem is every time you swipe that card, a portion of the money that you make or that you're paying on that is going to go back to support Planned Parenthood. And I'm going to call out the Colorado Springs Diocese right now. So they work with a company called Blackbaud. They've been informed that Blackbaud donates heavily to Planned Parenthood. So every time that somebody in the church donates to the diocese, a portion of that money is going back to Planned Parenthood. And they just kind of said, not our problem, which kind of shocked me.
Yeah, they weren't interested in changing their payment processor to something like...
They weren't even interested in having a conversation about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Was there any specific ties as to why... Can you think of why they would want to keep their... Is some benefit that they're getting that they can't get anywhere else, or?
I think it's inertia. You're so used to doing something one way, and a lot of them are volunteers, or this is their second career, and so the thought of having to try and make a change in the work involved in that is like, I don't want to deal with it. I think that's the more charitable way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, when you highlight that next to abortion, obviously it's like, okay, well, maybe you should put in the extra work, but I see what you're saying.
Unfortunately, as a business owner for many years or decades, when you're looking at an organization the size of a diocese, to change something as fundamental as how they collect their money through all of their parishes and everything they do, and to go and make that change is a very major undertaking and can cost a lot of money in making the changes in the software and training and the problems and stuff that they're going to have, and all the automatic donations that are happening and have to switch those over. I mean, they could be losing a lot of money in that process of doing that. So, not that I'm defending it, but I sure can understand. They're like, yeah, there's no way we're touching this.
From a pure
we do have other dioceses that are in the process of changing, though.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's actually fairly. The nice thing about this software is it's fairly easy just to swap it out. Like there's not a lot of work behind the scenes. So.
But even so, I mean, while that makes sense, weighing that against protecting the dignity of human life is like, well, yeah, that's a lot of work, but this is more important.
And what's crazy about it, so with the pro-life payments, they partner with, what's it? I'm drawing a blank on the name of the company, but they donate 10% of their profits back to this company, and they average, it's like every $500 saves a baby's life. So like they do like the scans and things like that, and they've got it down to a science. And so I think as you nailed it, what is that work and maybe potential loss of profit versus the saving the life of a baby?
I would think actually that there would, in a Catholic diocese, I would hope that they could advertise that, hey, we're changing the way we do things so that we actually, currently we're technically supporting something we don't want to support. But on the other hand, by switching, we will actually now be helping to stop abortions and better that cause. And I would think people would respond to that and be like, sweet, yeah, I'll donate. I mean, I would hope that would be the response.
I mean, I could see the business side of it, why they would resist, but to not even have a conversation.
Yeah, at least see how bad it is.
As they might suspect, or how much is really happening and going. That's surprising.
Yeah. Which actually kind of reminds me of a quick story. So I've mentioned Inspire a few times. Robert Netzley's their CEO, and what led him to build Inspire is he was on the board of a local pro-life center, and he started looking through, because he worked in the investment field, and started looking and realized, it's like, how can I sit on this board and say that I'm pro-life and then still invest in and work with all these companies that are, making abortion drugs and things like that. And that's what really led him to not turning his life around, but changing the course of his life and building Inspire and doing some great things.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. With that, I'm curious. So for your recommendation, or it sounds like, working with Inspire, maybe because I'm part of an investing group that it's a phenomenal group, and they've got a lot of great information about investing and things like that. But a lot of people, when they try and invest, say, just throw it in the S&P you'll average 10% a year, something like that. You mentioned before indexing. So like someone who's interested in just kind of slowly putting something somewhere, they can use Inspire to do that, or what would you recommend?
So, as great as Inspire is, they can't be perfect at everything. Mm-hmm. So when I work with my clients, I've actually built a kind of more like a robo portfolio, something akin to like a Betterment or a Wealthfront, but using faith-based investments. So, for the areas that Inspire really excels, we use them. Timothy Plans is also a good part in that we use Timothy Plans. So I think the important thing when constructing a portfolio is you have to look at all of the different areas. But what I love about the TechWise process is, for as little as, 50 or $100 a month, you can invest in, we'll put it into the portfolio to be built based on the risk you want, and then all the rebalancing is handled. And then you have access to a financial advisor if you want. So like if you're like, I'm 25 or I'm 30 and I don't need a full financial planner, I just want somebody to make the investments, but maybe something comes up and you're like, boy, I'd love 2 hours of your time to talk about taxes or to talk about this or that. You'll have access and you can set it up by the hour if you want help on top of it. So that's kind of what we've built recently for some of the younger investors. But then we also have our full service plan. So I have some clients that, in their 50s and 60s, they're approaching retirement and they're like, I've done a great job of saving all this money, but I have no idea how to turn it into an income stream. I think people are not prepared for the amount of taxes we're going to face. There's a great book out there by David McKnight called The Power of Zero, and it's all about getting into the 0% retirement bracket. Because I truly think, and he outlays it, it's not a left or a right issue. It's going to be a math issue. Taxes are going to have to double within the next 10 to 15 years.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And
interesting.
So, a lot of times when I have new clients come to me, a lot of times people just say, I have a financial advisor, but I want a second look. And I go through and I say, okay, here's something I haven't thought about. If taxes only go up 10%, I'm not even talking about doubling. If they only go 10%, you're not going to make it. And I think they're always shocked by that when I show them those numbers.
Wow.
Because, again, it's not something a lot of advisors are talking about on that.